Well, welcome back to the Joe and Co podcast. Today we have on my brother, John Schneider. Thank you for coming on.
Appreciate it. I'm glad to be here. It's an honor.
Yeah. Not only is it my brother, but it is Brandon's dad. So we might see a little bit of child abuse. It's okay. It's sanctioned.
I'm counting on it.
So, John, you have you watch podcasts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are some of your favorites?
Oh shit. Put me on the spot.
Put you all the way on the spot.
Yeah. That Jocko podcast, I've seen it a few times. I can't think of the guy that's a Navy SEAL.
You like that Goggins?
There's the other one, but the Sean Ryan one.
Sean Ryan.
Yeah, he's got some interesting ones on there.
Yes, he does.
And the rest are just short-lived ones. They're not depending on the guest, I guess.
Right. That's kind of how I like. We'll start cherry picking through like famous podcasts. Like, nah, I just want to listen to the people that I like. Like, I don't even know who the podcaster is.
Yeah, depending on the topic, if it's even interesting.
Right. So, we're going to start off with like some super simple, icebreaker questions, make you forget you're wearing a headset, and then we'll start digging in. So, what is your favorite kind of pizza? Supreme?
Yeah, well, the original Pizza Hut was the best.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Is it is there anything you don't do on a pizza?
Yeah, probably the sardines or anything fish.
Yeah. I think that was like a big thing, like with Ninja Turtles when I was a kid, was like sardines on pizza and stuff. And I think I've only ever had it once.
I've never had it. I have avoided it. I've had that opportunity many times, but just.
Well, that's the anchovies too.
Yeah, anchovies.
Oh, anchovies. That's what I was thinking of because they're like super salty. That's what I had.
Yeah, my father-in-law, that was his favorite.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder if you can even go to like Pizza Hut and get that.
Yeah. Or I'm trying to think. I don't know if it's Domino's. One of the wherever my wife orders from online, there's a button for it.
Is there?
When you click it, there's like an alert saying that like, are you sure?
No kidding. All right. So, we talked about pizza, but what is your favorite food? What's John's last meal?
Yeah, it's a good one. We're just going to go with a peanut butter banana sandwich.
Peanut butter or banana?
Can't go wrong with that.
I strongly disagree.
I mean, if that's all there was to eat, it's like that would, or if there's multiple choices, I'd just go with that. It's simple. And
I think I'd rather go with leg of Matt than bananas.
Oh yeah, no bananas.
All right. Is there any foods you don't eat? Like just stuff you don't like?
Yeah. The heavy fish.
Heavy fish. Yeah.
Yeah. Fish smells, taste.
All right. What about, you have a favorite movie?
Ooh, that's a good one. Well, as I would say, as of lately, it would be like either Range 15,
yeah,
or the Hell Ride,
yeah,
and then well, one of the cool biker ones I've seen was the Sonny Barger movie, Dead in 5 Heartbeats.
Man, I still need to watch that.
It's a really pretty cool story.
I've never heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah. You know who Sonny Barger was?
Yeah.
Yeah. He made a movie called Dead in 5 Heartbeats. I remember following him on Facebook years ago and he was making it.
Oh, wow.
Like I need to remember just when I'm sitting in front of the TV to like try it one time.
Yeah.
All right. So what about a book? You have a favorite book?
And I read a lot of books for a little while in my life. I really like the, who was the MMA guy with the mohawk? He was
Chuck Liddell.
Yeah, I read his book. And then The Rogue Warrior was a really, really good one.
The Rogue Warrior?
Yeah, it was that Navy SEAL book.
Okay.
Can't think of the guy's name. I'm not good with spot on questions.
Right.
Remembering details sometimes.
This is a test. This is a pass or fail. So,
yeah.
Right. All right. So what can you cook? They're having a competition cooking a food. What are you entering?
Oh, fried potatoes and onions.
Fried potatoes and onions.
Can't go wrong, and they're always good.
And I know you're right because I've eaten your fried taters and onions.
Mm-hmm.
We've eaten a lot of breakfast. What What about a favorite car? Like if you had $1 million in the bank tomorrow and you had to go spend it all on a vehicle.
Oh, really? I wouldn't have to spend the whole million, though.
No.
Okay, cool. It would be like an old 2-door Chevy Chevelle that I could go out on a dirt road and do donuts on. It wouldn't have to be nowhere near superb because it would probably bang into stuff and already be primo.
Right.
Just something you could just blast around town on dirt roads on.
Heck yeah. So you work on big trucks.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't work on big trucks, what would you have always thought you wanted to do? What's a career you would have thought you would have liked?
Motorcycles, like really, like just
Like wrenching them or?
yeah, wrenching them, making them look cool, painting them, whatever.
Heck yeah.
Just starting from the ground up. I mean, that's just a thing I've always wanted to do for a long time.
Right. Well, and how did you get into the interest in motorcycles? Like what drew you to it? Were you a little kid and your dad rode them, or I mean, what?
Yeah, I mean, no, my dad didn't. I don't remember my dad being around or riding them or anything. I just like 2 wheels with the mopeds and the go-karts and the little mini bikes and stuff and bicycles growing up. But I guess it was, I had some friends I met at a bar. Eventually, I was watching them ride and I was driving my truck, following them bar hopping. And then I was like, one more night, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I was like, didn't have any money really. So my friend Dave, he had like a 550 or 650 little Suzuki or street bike. And I picked it up for him for really cheap. And it was on from there.
There you go.
Yeah.
What was the that bike that grandma bought at a garage sale?
Something similar to that. It was like a little 350 or 450 Honda Suzuki, something like that. Kawasaki, I don't remember. Little street bike.
Just at a garage sale.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's really cool. But it was when it comes to like motorcycles, it was always the Harley, the nostalgia and the cool look of those and the sound that really nothing else competed with it. I've had a few different bikes.
Right. You just, was it yesterday or the day before we were talking and we had rode past your house, a big group, and you'd said you'd never heard that before outside of the group.
Right. Yeah. Cause I'm always with the group, riding with the group. And I was driving the truck following everybody and everybody went around me, a whole group of, 10 or 12 people. And it was just, I was like, man, that was an unbelievable cool sound. Just the thunder going around the truck.
It is. I can see why there's so many videos on like social media, the person in the truck, like taking video and,
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
it's, I don't know. It's iconic. It's all American for sure.
It's a lot different from 1 or 2 guys passing or driving compared to a group of riders. It's a big different sound.
Yeah. All right. So if you had the opportunity to sit down and have lunch or dinner with anybody ever, like they could be dead now, or, if you could sit down and have lunch and just pick their brain, talk to them, have a conversation, listen to their stories, whatever, who would you want to sit down with?
Today?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's all those people I've thought about that, but if one person today, it'd be me, Big Al Gaither.
Yeah.
That would be the one. If I could be the fly on the wall when he's working.
Yeah. Well, I think we have pretty open opportunities for that because he's around.
I know he's still around. So, yeah, just to look at watch it. I've been around him while he works a little bit. I'm like, man, if I could just watch him do the whole thing, daily.
Yeah.
If I won the lottery, I'd quit and just go hire him to hang out with. Just like, hey man, don't stop doing what you do. Just, I want to watch and show me.
Just slow down and show me how to do it. Hell yeah.
Learn. Yeah, that'd be the one thing. 'Cause
that's awesome.
once that shit's gone, it's going to be gone. There's not a lot of people who know what they know.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That is really true. Like the number of people that know how to actual gas weld these days.
Mm-hmm.
I did it once just because I wanted to try it. I've never actually needed to gas weld. All right. Well, there's all the easy stuff out of the way. So we'll start with man, tell me about like your childhood and like, your mom, your dad, your brothers, sisters. How was it?
Growing up, spent a lot of time with our grandparents. Well, I mean, my mom was a single mom. My dad wasn't around very much, if ever. And so, seemed like it was a big family, aunts and uncles and cousins, and growing up like that up to the time we were teenagers, before during the grade school days and just seemed like it was a really loving family thing, even though we didn't have a lot of money or anything.
Yeah. So was that in like Butler County? Was that
Wichita?
Wichita?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I know you at least have a brother.
Yes. My little brother, Jason, when he's not so little, he's about my size.
Right. And that's the only other sibling?
No, I have my sister. I have a sister, and they both live in Oklahoma, or I guess my sister lives down just north of the Kansas border.
Oh, cool.
Just south of Oklahoma,
And they're both younger?
Yeah, like 2 years apart.
Yeah. And so growing up, and you grew up in Wichita,
Mm-hmm.
and, how were you in school? Like as a young kid, were you enjoy school as a little young kid or?
And I don't know, probably. I don't really remember too much of grade school. We moved around a lot. Seems like we went to a few different schools. I remember playing soccer, for the AYSO soccer. And when we were kids growing up, that was the sport.
Yeah.
I remember 6th grade playing football. And then, 7th, 8th grade playing football and soccer, and just what we did back then. Rode BMX bicycles. And
yeah. But I bet you were putting playing cards in them spokes, weren't you?
Maybe. Yeah, I probably did that once or twice.
Yeah. So playing football, what position where did you play on the field?
Probably just on the line, wherever. I was a small, skinny kid, so, they just put me wherever everybody got to play.
Right. Yeah, that was kind of how I got on the football field too. I wasn't that good.
Seems like I remember playing a little defense.
Yeah. It's a little more fun. Be the hammer, not the nail.
Mm-hmm.
So, we went to high school. Where'd you go to high school?
Went to Derby and also for Towanda Circle High.
Yeah. Yeah. What did you guys just move or?
Yeah. I started getting in trouble when I've always been in trouble since I was a little kid, but doing stuff that I wasn't supposed to do. But it seems like I was getting more and more trouble and drinking and stuff. And Mom figured that if we moved, I spent a year with my uncle over when I was like 15, 16 years old. And I did really good in Towanda, get good grades. So Mom figured if we moved there, then, it would be good for us or whatever. But
right. I've heard you talk about your uncle before. That was a pretty big person to you, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was a good influencer. He's a good man.
Yeah. What did he do? Like, what was his life like? What was
just honest, working, no drugs or alcohol around, and always do what you say you're going to do, and, make sure you do it.
right.
Yeah.
That's the same uncle that my wife
Yep.
grew up with his kids.
Mm-hmm.
He's real close to my wife's family too. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. This whole area is not that big of an area.
Right.
No, it's amazing to me that the people in my life, they're just so connected in so many different ways
Right.
to other things.
Yeah. So your uncle was a good influence and you moved out there to Towanda. Did you proceed? Were you able to continue to kind of get good grades while you're out there or?
When I lived with my uncle, yeah, when my mom moved us out there, it was all right. I mean, I think I passed, but we also got in a lot of trouble running around doing whatever we wanted to do.
Yeah. Did you have like a subject that you particularly liked in school? Auto mechanics?
I didn't even take that in school.
No?
It just seems like we grew up working on stuff ever since I was a little kid. I remember there's a picture of me when I'm like 4 or 5 years old, I'm guessing that's how old I was, wrenching on with my grandpa on his truck. So yeah,
That's
that was,
cool.
he was a big influence for growing up.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, did you work in high school? Did you have part-time jobs? Would you?
Well, in Derby, I remember when I was in Derby when I was 15, I think I had a 15, 16, I had a job at in the wintertime just during school year at the Spears restaurant as a dishwasher.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my first jobs though when I was 15 the summer was roofing for David Hall and Sons. My grandfather was a preacher at a church, and David was one of the people. So my grandpa got me a summer job, helped me get a summer job there.
Yeah. Mostly houses or?
Yeah, all houses and nursing homes. And in fact, the first week on the job was down in Mulvane, Kansas, and David had a couple scissor trucks that were full of shingles, and he could lift them up to the top of the edge of the roof. And my job was to unload those and stack them along the roof. And so that was me. And that was, here you go. And it's funny because even after David Hall had sold the company and I went and talked to the guys that worked for him during that time that own the company now, they remembered me when I was, they were like, David really broke you in for roofing. It's like you make or break this kid, you know. But I had always had a no quit in me for, you know, if you want to show me something, I'm not going to quit.
Right. Right. I actually you've told me about scissor trucks before, and I literally finally saw one like last week working up the street from my house.
Like a flatbed that just raises the whole bed up to the edge of the roof.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
Yeah. I'd never seen that before. And I like stopped and was like, wow, that's, you know, I've worked at heights. I've done a lot of that stuff. And I'd never seen just an entire truck bed raised up a whole extra story.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen that either.
Yeah. It's exactly what you'd think of. Instead of it dumping backwards, it just raises the whole shooting match.
The closest thing I can think of is like the mini truck scene.
Yeah, when they do the hydraulics.
They would do they'd have the beds come up, and anyways, carry on.
Yeah.
So how long did you roof, just for that summer?
Yeah, that summer. I tried it later on, but you realize that, you know, like in my early 20s, I was job hopping a lot, doing different things. And I realized that you kind of got to grow up and stick with roofing to get your body used to it. Because if you just do it, you're not going to make it. It's hard.
Right. No casual roofers.
No, there's no casual roofers in here. It'll wear you out.
So you got to the end of high school. Did you graduate then?
No.
No? Just quit, or did you get in trouble? What's happened?
Well, the story is, if I could just go back. So, you know, I've always been in trouble. I mean, the first time that I didn't get caught doing it, but I got caught, you know, I was like 6 years old, and I don't really remember it, but mom does. My mom does, because I guess we got out of church and everybody's supposed to be taking a nap, and I walked down a couple miles down the street and go to this David store on Meridian and Pawnee area. They had a David store where the flea market is now, I guess. And went in there, got one of them big wheels and rode it out of the store and rode it down the street. And I guess I was just headed back to my grandparents' house. And this is Meridian. We were on, like, you know, east of Seneca.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, I had gone a ways. I knew where I was going.
That's cool.
But some lady, I guess, stopped me from rolling out into the traffic. And mom, you know, found me. And that's all I heard about that story.
I just picture you with like a candy cigarette, like no shirt on.
Get your motor running.
Yeah, just little baby outlaw John out there.
You know, if we could just think back, it's like ever since I was little, I've always just figured out ways to do what I want to do, I guess.
Right.
And not really thought about consequences.
Yeah.
So, you know, so I always got in trouble, you know, since I remember getting caught shoplifting when we were kids and stealing stuff I wasn't supposed to steal, you know. And still, you know, it didn't matter at the time. I just did it. Didn't think about right or wrong, I guess. And then, so we're rolling out there when we lived in Towanda. I mean, I'd been in trouble with the law before that, but we went, I was in Tawanda. We were rolling out the lake, El Dorado Lake, and we were stealing coolers of beer at night, looking for beer. Everybody drank beer. We were kids. We were like 15. Anyway, we get him getting chased. And then my friend, he had a Subaru Brat, right? And so I'm rolling in the back, and we think we get away, right? But guess who has probably the only Subaru Brat in the county? So the cops come knocking on our door the next day, and one of the kids was in trouble on probation or something, and so he was like, man, I'm not going to tell people's names, but he was like, I know where so and so's keys, they leave them in their Jeep, and if these guys know who I am, I've gotten caught for all this stuff. So anyway, we take that Jeep and we roll out, stealing gas the whole way, made it to like Arizona.
How old were you at this time?
Like 15 or
Okay.
16.
Yeah.
I can't, I'm thinking I'm 16 probably.
Yeah.
And, I'm driving that morning and we steal gas and we keep on going. We think we're going to like head out to California. That's kind of like the master plan, these two kids, And the cop lived right behind the convenience store, and we were on an Indian reservation. So it was kind of an interesting day. We got arrested, and we were in the back of like a Suburban, and it is no kidding, and it's desert out there. And I guess the first judge that we were going to go visit was out shopping, so they had to drive us a few hundred miles across the state to go to somewhere else. I just remember being in there a long time, and then we got out and they were like, hey, while you wait for whatever, pick up the weeds and the trash. And they bought us some chicken and gave us something to drink. And we just freaking ran. we hightailed it out of there. And so we were in Arizona. And so we're walking forever, it seems like. And then we end up in New Mexico. And then my buddy's like, if we're runaways, we can get a free bus ride back to Wichita. So we went to the bus station, said we were runaways, and ended up back in Wichita. He gets off the bus with his mom, and I just stayed gone in Wichita the whole time.
So how long were you from the time you left Kansas to came back during this excursion?
Oh, probably a couple weeks, maybe a week. Yeah, maybe it's a week.
15, and your mom has no idea where you're at.
Oh my gosh. My mom's the best, as far as a loving mom goes. So, I still regret. That's a heavy regret to think about all the things. Because I disappeared for a long time over the years. Different times in my life,
Right.
doing other things.
Loving mom. Lucky she didn't love the hell out of your hind end.
I know, right? Well, yeah. So, and then I'm on this excursion and I hook up with old friends because I have old friends in Wichita and we're young still, And then I get in trouble again for breaking into a Sonic and stealing some money and burgers and stuff at night.
Did you cook the burgers?
Oh, yeah.
Like in the Sonic while you're breaking?
No. We took a while. But, and I was just drinking a lot back then. And I remember I thought it was okay to go back a couple more times. And then last time they had me they knew they had it watching. So I was like surrounded by police officers while I was on the roof of this building trying to break in. And they were like, come on down. And that was the end of that. So, but I was in trouble for stealing the Jeep and in trouble for route running the cops and stuff like that, all that stuff, and had another one. So, I went to youth center at Topeka, the youth prison, kid prison for a year, and I got out and they had me on like probation, and then they wanted to put me in corrections. So I was in like this youth center halfway house type thing in Wichita, and I remember when I ran into my best friend, and he's like, this is like a Friday night, and when everybody used to cruise Douglas, right?
Hell yeah.
I'm not trying to glamorize my life or my story, but it was I just did whatever I wanted to do. So I said, I don't want to be here anymore and do this. So, I get paid on Monday. I'm out. It's funny. I got a job while I was there. The only job I could get, they hired people. And those urinal cakes, that smell in the bottom of urinals.
Yeah.
Those little crystal cakes. They put in the little plastic things. I made those. It was summertime in this little warehouse thing down in Wichita. And that was my job, right? So I worked there for like 2 weeks or a week or whatever it was. I don't remember. It was a short time period. And then I remember, though, that I ran into him on Friday night. And he says, no. He says, I'm not going. I said, well, I'm going to get out of here, man. I'm not. And he said, I got a girlfriend. I can't go. My friend. And he says, so I ran into him the next night. He says, meet me at my house on Monday.
Did he break up with his girlfriend? Broke up
I
with him?
guess. I don't know. Eddie always had girlfriends. It never didn't matter. So we're from Towanda, right? This is where we got in trouble. He was driving the Subaru. I mean, we've always been in whatever. It was funny because he went to youth center at Topeka. He got out right before I went there, and he ran from there. Like he escaped.
Oh, wow.
He says, if I'd have known, it was like a week before I showed up. He says, if I knew you were coming, I would have waited on you. We could have left together. I said, I know, right? But he did whatever he had to do. He got caught and stuff. So he had to do all his stuff. But anyway, so he had an aunt and uncle that lived in California. Anyway, so I walked and it was summertime. I got my paycheck on that Monday, and then I walked to Towanda down the railroad track and just walked. And by the time I got to Towanda, man, everybody was looking for me. Police were all looking for me because they figured I was there or somewhere. They were looking for me where I was familiar with,
Right.
So I remember he had traded his Mustang 2 for a little Datsun pickup. And I laid down in the back, threw a tarp over me, and we hauled Bud out of town. And then we ended up, next thing you know, we're in California.
Wow.
And I drove there and I used my money from my paycheck to buy the gas all the way there. And I stayed there, man. I even got a California driver's license while I was there.
Oh, wow. So you were there for a while.
Yeah, we were there for quite a while. And there's some really weird connections. Though. It was like we had a lot of fun while we were there running around. I didn't really do anything. Anyway, and then one day, I had a warrant for Kansas, but I'd stayed out of trouble while I was there. But one day I'm by myself and I'm walking down the street and there's this police officer with a German Shepherd, and he motions, he sees me and he points his finger at me and he says, come here. He's quite a ways away. And I'm like, oh shit, And so I get arrested and, I'm in, Orange County Jail in California is pretty tough back then. So you learn a lot pretty quick about where you don't want to end up.
Right. So what did he wave you over for? Like
Just because he wanted to see me. Just because I was there. Maybe it was a God thing. Who knows where I was headed after that.
Right.
Yeah. So I got arrested.
So you're in Orange County Jail and learning.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think I remember it was, it was Christmas time through there, that time period. Cause I remember we got, for Christmas, we got like a pouch of tobacco to smoke. You could smoke back then in jail. So, that was one of your Christmas presents.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I remember you either could have menthol tobacco or smoke or regular tobacco.
Which did you pick?
Regular.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was all good. And then it was funny, though, because I was remembering that the two detectives that came and got me and flew me back to Kansas for come back were the same two detectives that arrested me on Christmas Eve at my mom's house when I got in trouble for breaking into a liquor store. It was the same two detectives, and I don't think they remembered me, but I remembered them. But those are my life, it was like I didn't think about others. Imagine your kid getting arrested on Christmas Eve. What an inspirational, or, and I was like, that's just was it the way it was.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is, by this point, are you 18 yet or?
Yeah, I was 18.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I had the charge in Wichita of burglary. So I had to, it was attempted burglary because I only got charged with what I got caught for, not what everything that I've done.
Right.
Always thought, if I got charged with everything I've ever done, then I probably would still be in,
Right.
depending. And anyway, so shit, Dave was still in California, my friend David. And so when I finally got out of trouble, I was off paper too. I spent a couple years locked up. So I got out, and it was like 1990. And so I was like, man, I hopped a Greyhound and went to California.
Went back.
Yeah, I went back, and it was just a different world. David lived in a little different area and had a different thing going on. A lot more drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
Mostly drugs. They had the heavy stuff. And so we were doing that. And I got tired of doing that and came back. But we stayed out of trouble. I didn't get any trouble during that period of time.
Right. What, like, I don't know, like, the party doesn't really stop. So what, like, made you want to come back? Like, what was...
Oh, we were heavy into doing meth and cocaine. Mostly I was doing the cocaine, but we were just always doing that shit, and it's just wearing me out.
Yeah.
Just all the time rolling. I had bought a Datsun 280Z pickup or car, and then he had a pickup, and then we had his old Chevelle or something like that. And I remember we just had these old beater cars we'd race around in, always doing something. But California's a little crazy. We lived up in North Long Beach, so it was like not Mary Poppins and Disneyland and all that shit. It was always like helicopters and gunfire, always around there. So
Real life Grand Theft Auto.
yeah, real life Grand Theft Auto, and we're just two white boys in the hood, as you'd say. But
Man, that's
it was
crazy.
just crazy because it was always stressful,
Right.
And I never slept, and because we were always doing drugs, so always on meth.
Right. And I mean, you've told me parts of your story. You've told me stories about your life, but like actually putting them in order, like I'm realizing John's quite the gangster.
And there's some things that happened during that time period. It's like that I wish I'd have never, things I wish I'd never done, and things I will never do again, and things you see
Right.
that are just terrible things. So
You can't unsee some things.
it's like, if you can imagine, I mean, seems like it wasn't like you didn't go to Compton, you didn't go to those places where it was predominantly black areas, because if you're white, you don't have no business there.
Right.
But, so there was a lot of, if you can imagine Menace to Society, that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was similar to what it was back then. A lot of that.
Pretty accurate. then.
Yeah. A lot of craziness.
Right.
Yeah. So, I came back to Kansas and then, because I was like tired, but there's still drugs and alcohol here. But, I started working again. Got a job as a roofing company, Hot Tar Roofing out there.
Oh
So
God.
I moved in with my mom. She lived over in Benton. And so she let me live with her for a while. And then I remember I had a bicycle, and I'd ride it to and from work in El Dorado. Sometimes mom would give me a ride, but mainly I just rode my bicycle.
From Benton to
El Dorado.
every
Well,
day.
yeah, the east side of El Dorado is where the roofing company was. And after work, I'd row out to the lake and jump in the lake every day. And it was pretty cool. I was single.
Right.
It was it was a way to live, ride. You don't have no responsibility except for your job.
Yeah.
So
So how long did that go on? How long were you at the roofing company before you had the next major change?
yeah, probably not even a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it was on to, oh shoot, I remember I just hightailed it and decided I wanted to go stay with my cousins and my aunt down in Alabama.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was during that time before you were born, so it had to been early 90s. Well, you were born in 95, so 94, 93, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went down there and we just hung out. My cousin, it was like we had some people that from Louisiana, and I worked as just worked construction. with somebody we knew and met down there, and smoked a lot of weed and drank a lot of beer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can't, it gets hot in Kansas.
yeah.
And I've worked construction most of my life. I can't imagine being a construction worker even further south in the hotter areas.
Mhm.
You know, of course, you came off the hot tar roof.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
That
and
may
we were
not-
young.
right, that may not have been a big deal then.
Hmm.
But so you were in Alabama for a while. Like, how'd that, I mean, you obviously had to come back at some point.
Yeah, it was pretty wild because I mean it just seemed like I never could settle down anywhere. But we had a lot of fun there, and I don't know what made me decide that I wanted to leave, because I guess it was just time for a change. So I mean, I dated a little girl down there, and it's crazy because I remember I saved up enough money to buy a car, right? And I never did get it tagged and insured as a little Ford Tempo. And I just hopped in it one day, got my paycheck, and just left, and rode it all the way back. No tag or nothing. Only got stopped in Oklahoma one time. I had the title for the car, so the cop was like, "Yeah, just go on home. Get that taken care of when you get back to Kansas." I've always been kind of, sometimes you're nice to those guys that are nice to you back.
Right.
So it was pretty cool. But, I get back to Kansas, and the girl that I'd been dating around, she calls me and says she's pregnant. So I was like, holy crap,
Yeah.
Yeah. She was like, her mom just said they were going to, like, forgive me, Melissa, if I'm talking out of my machine. I know her enough to know that it'll be all right. But we gave it up for adoption and to a family, because we were young and neither one of us were ready.
Right.
And so there was a family that couldn't have kids, and they loved that kid. So that was cool.
Right.
I just carried on and was, job hopping and heck, living up. And I always rode a 10-speed bicycle back then. So I had a lot of fun not having responsibility of anything else but myself. That's when I met Brandon's mom. I lived with a friend of mine from high school, and we were roommates, and we were always partying and drinking beer. And his mom moved in next door to us in this duplex, and that's when I met her, and we dated a little bit, stuff, and then she comes up one night. I'm painting the apartment that we lived in, and your mom says, she said, "I don't know how to tell you this." I said, "Well, what?" She said, "I'm pregnant." I was like, holy shit. So we made a go of it as a family.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, well, let's do this,
Yeah.
If we're going to do this, let's just do this. I did a terrible job of it,
Yeah.
Yeah, drinking and me doesn't
Say
go
yeah.
together. Yeah.
Well, I guess.
I was there for quite a while. Brandon probably remembers more than I do of that time period.
Maybe.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I know there's some Ninja Throwing Stars stories.
Yeah. Yeah.
From when I was a kid, yeah.
You remember, I forgot, you were working at some welding company or something,
Mm-hmm.
and you came home with that welded sword you welded together or something at work out of a bunch of scrap bullshit.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Sent up on the thing.
Always loved doing that, making fantasy weapons or whatever you want to call it.
Oh, you know what you missed out on? You've gone through all this. You didn't tell us about you getting to be a movie star when you were a kid.
Oh, which one was that?
Your movie.
Oh, yeah. So when I lived in Derby, I had a good friend, Matt, and my friend Ryan, and it was like the summer of 15. It was before I moved to Towanda. I mean, everything kind of is a blur there.
Sure.
Trying to make, figure out the time period, but it was like, hey, let's make a movie. We had one of them old VHS tapes or recording cameras, and we'll make this James Bond thing, because Matt had some cool little acreage, and he had a boat in his garage and had a pond, and I'd spent a lot of time. He was one of really, really good friends, grew up since 6th grade, and anyway, so we made a film, and it was like goofy fight scene, car chase, and I have it somewhere. I need to go over to Matt. He has it on DVD. I'll bring it and show everybody. But
Dude, we've got to see
it's
that.
pretty cool. It took us like all day to make this 5-minute video. 'Cause it takes a long time to, set up stuff. But yeah, it was pretty crazy. I had a Chevrolet Vega at the time, so it was in there. The car was in the car chase scene down his driveway. It wasn't like a car out in the streets. It was just like, just short clips,
Right.
all blended together. That was a lot of fun.
A Vega. I think I've only ever known one other person that ever had a Vega.
They're pretty tough cars. Like
Yeah.
4-speed on the, I think it was.
Yep. Muncie 4-speed, 350 engine.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know why they didn't make more of them, but
Oh, I know. It's really cool. A friend of my mom sold that to me for really cheap.
yeah. Well, that's cool. So getting back to the present part of the story. So you had Brandon, you were trying to give it a go as a dad. You were working as a welder and
Well, before that, when we moved to El Dorado when he was born. We lived in El Dorado, and I'd worked as a concrete company. So during that time, I enjoyed that part of my day.
yeah.
And then we ended up moving to Wichita, and then I got a job it was right across the street from your place, Wichita Structural Steel at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, my friend David worked there, so he got me on there.
Yeah. At the structural, it still has the sign on it that says structural steel.
Yeah,
I've been inside there. That's a cool old building.
it is. I learned to weld a lot during that time period.
So the structural steel, were you fabricating in the shop and installing out in the field,
Just
or
fabricating in the shop. We'd drill holes, weld the plates, and cut the beams and paint them and stuff.
right? I've never actually seen that process. It's like the structural stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've seen the iron workers out in the field hanging it, but I've never got to witness the process and when they're putting it all together.
yeah. It's like just pretty much just welding stuff together.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. We've talked that building is kind of cool. We've always thought it'd be like a cool, like, I don't know, like nightclub kind of just cool place to hang out if you did a few things with the old cranes hanging in there and all that.
Oh yeah, it's definitely amazing how old some of that stuff was.
Right. Right. I probably relied on some of your welds, walked underneath some of the things.
3 or 4 generations in that shop, I would imagine.
Yeah. So, walk us through kind of what happened. I mean, we're
Yeah, I mean, we're me and his mom, and we ended up having he has a brother and sister also, and so it was 3 of us, 3 and her, and I mean, I just was a dad,
yeah.
and then it was like, then it got into over a time period. It was, and I always drank, and it was pretty normal, to work and hang out and just live, and I think we ended up getting a motorcycle during that time period, and just working construction or the weld shop. I ended up getting a job as a painter at Raytheon Aircraft, which is Beechcraft out east,
Yeah.
painting aircraft, priming aircraft, and learning to paint, body work and stuff, and always enjoyed learning something new.
Right.
So, during that, and then that happens, and then, then I started doing cocaine again and drinking, and partying more and more. And, when I was doing that, it was like I wasn't as home as much, and my money would go elsewhere. And there was it would cause problems with the family. I was being real selfish during that time period.
Right.
But couldn't tell me anything back then. I didn't know any different. That's just how I was.
Right.
And and then got it back into the heavy stuff again one night, and then it was just on. I just left.
Wow.
Yeah.
And, The wife with 3 kids sitting there.
Yeah,
Just
and I was
holding the
gone.
bag.
And I was gone. And I couldn't even think about it. I mean, when I was sober, I would feel about it, but it was just such an addiction.
Right. Your goal is to try not to feel sober.
Yeah, I was completely incapable of doing anything else at that time period. It's like there was no quit of the drug. I wasn't able to.
Right.
I don't know how you explain that. I couldn't even explain it.
Yeah. Well, it becomes your whole life.
Yeah,
You
it
wake
was.
up, you think about it, you go to bed, you're thinking about it. In the meantime, you're trying to get it and doing it.
Because it's crazy because, it was a time period where the mom and the kids were my whole life.
Right.
And then all of a sudden they're not. That's my whole life. And
Did you find yourself like while you were out there in it, not wanting to be in it, but feeling trapped, or did that come later? You know what I mean?
anytime that I was sober for any length of time, whether it was a stint in jail or, trying to quit on my own, there was that wanting to go back to it. But not even, I was so, the thing is that there's an insanity in there that I don't even know reality from
Mm-hmm.
not reality.
Right.
I think I can do this or whatever, do whatever, but I can't,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing that it's coming, you end up getting in quite a bit of trouble and having to go away from the family and the drugs for a while. How'd that transpire that you ended up going?
Oh, just, since I was a little kid, I mean, mom said that I used to walk down there when I was 3 or 4 years old, walk down to the store when I was like 5, and you just go take candy from the grocery store and come back and lie about it, or stealing the big wheel, or not going to school,
Right.
just kind of doing whatever I wanted to do, and that didn't help when you meet one of your people that I was one of the guys I was using with. He's passed away now, but he was he didn't mind stealing either. So you got 2 guys that just kind of do whatever we want. We could find stuff that the drug dealers would want on trade, and we'd go do it, take it,
Yeah.
and then get the drugs. And that was the plan, because neither one of us worked. We didn't have any money.
Right.
So
What was good trade stuff?
TVs.
TVs.
Right, and the brand new TVs. No, like used stuff. I never broke into people's houses.
Right. And this is in the 90s,
No, this is the
the
2000s.
2000s.
Yeah.
But still, like, you probably weren't stealing very many flat screens. You must have been a kind of a stud to be able to walk out with
Oh,
some TVs.
they were all flats. That's when the beginning of the flat
Okay.
screens, like 2005, and
I think that started
Or-
TV theft because you find some old 1990s Zenith.
yeah.
You're not
Nobody
probably gonna
wants
steal
that.
it.
Yeah, nobody wants that.
Wouldn't Even the years when they did, you're not going to steal it very effectively.
I mean, it's almost scary to talk about some of the, because I don't know. There was probably, the thing about it was when I got locked up, that I met people who did the exact same thing I did for the exact same reasons.
Right.
More than multiple guys. And it wasn't necessarily, it was just the same thing, whether it was cars, TVs, cigarettes, whatever, anything for anything,
Right.
just to get that drug.
I think that was one of the misconceptions I had in my mind when I was forced to get sober the first time, was that, somehow my story was going to be unique, or there was going to be that there wasn't just a rank and file of people who were going through the same thing just like me.
Yeah.
It seemed normal, but it seemed like I had to be special somehow or something. And it was just, it was just an addiction.
It is. And even the adrenaline rush of stealings can be addictive, thinking you're invincible at the moment.
Right.
It's crazy because there's no guilt during the process of all that, like I don't have any hesitation of this is right or wrong or nothing. It's just that I'm just doing it. just like I would show up to work now.
Right. Just part of the daily.
That's part of
daily
it was
deal.
my daily deal. And the people that I hung with were the same way, you know.
And so you went away for how long the first time? That time?
Well, the first time, I mean, they tried to put me on probation, and I've never been able to be on probation for very long. So then they locked me back up, and it was like they had this residential, like you live in a place, they try to get you a job and all that, go to treatment, and I did that.
And is that your first like try beyond yourself to stop using?
I didn't think about quitting using during it. I figured it was just I wasn't going to do it anymore.
Right.
You know, like there's nothing that could take me back into wanting to do that. So I thought,
Right.
that's an illusion to think that I would like that. I mean, I was away from it for a while, but you know, it doesn't take long for just to go do it again.
Right.
So, I mean, I got out of that, and then I don't even think I was on probation for very long, and then got in trouble again, doing the same thing, just on a spree, you know, of a couple weeks, and then I was back in jail again. This was freaking nuts, man. You know, I even went to drug treatment,
Yeah.
waiting on going to court on this last time, you know, and then I was like, man, I'm doing all right, you know, because I was sober. It felt good to be sober and thinking you had your shit together. And I still had to, you know, go get locked up for a little while. So, you know, 3 years goes by, and I get out, and it's the day before Thanksgiving, and everything's good, right?
Yeah.
So within a month, I'm using again.
Mhm.
All right. And within a month. And then after 90 days, I was out for 90 days, and I go back in, and they have 90 days of probation without parole violation. So I had to go serve 90 days. And then my parole officer said, hey, do you want to go to treatment? I said, yeah, one more time. And so I was sober for a while after that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was was that your first go around of, like in the program or?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The first time, you know, doing the AA's 12 steps,
Right. And that was
doing the things I need to do to stay sober.
right. How, about what year was that you started?
About 2011.
2011.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I hadn't met you yet then. You, by that point, I take it you were no longer with Brandon's mom.
No.
Right.
No, I didn't. Probably not allowed to, shouldn't darken that doorstep.
Yeah.
Especially during that time period.
Right. No, I'm just trying to context. Okay. You're no longer married there. You know, what's going on in your personal life as you start to try to rebuild and, you know, get sober.
It's like, I think I'm okay during that time period. You know, it's like I got out of treatment again, and after using, got skinny again after 90 days. It's been a little bit, and then, and I'm going to meetings, and I'm living in a reintegration where you live at the treatment place and you go to find a job. Which, by the way, if you've been in trouble a lot, it's really hard to find a job.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, nobody'd hire me.
Right.
And so I remember I had a bicycle, and I'm like walking around. I know how to do things, but I'm not scared to do anything. But I met this guy with this company, a small concrete company. I said, hey, you look for help? He said, nope. Thanks. You know, I said, well, here's my phone number. You know, I said, if you ever just need anybody to throw sand or pull concrete, you know, whatever, need some help, I got experience. Calls me the next morning because his guy didn't show up. And after he saw that I knew what I was doing, he gave me a job. So
That's cool.
So I had a bicycle and a job. And so that was cool. And so I'm going to meetings, and then I hear my name in a meeting one time, and you know, and I didn't hear my name, but I heard my nickname.
Yeah.
And a lady knew my nickname, and it was my old good friend Paula. And we ended up hanging out, and we ended up dating for a little while.
Yeah.
And then we ended up getting married. And it was like after a while hanging out, I was working. So I think we were both crazy.
Yeah.
But, so it was worth it. I think it was really amazing. So, yeah, then with her for a couple years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that whole time you were pouring concrete, or?
Well, I did that for a little while, and then I wanted a little better job, paid a little more. So a friend of mine, which happens to be her ex-husband, helped me get on at this being a pipe fitter at a plant, at the Oxy Chemical plant out South Wichita.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I did that for a while. Yeah, worked there, made pretty decent money, learned a lot.
Right. So you guys were together, married, and life was going good, and then what happened?
Well, she had degenerative disc in her lower back, so she had surgery, and then she had a couple other. She had to have her neck. She had that fused. They fuse your bones, I guess, during the surgery. I think there's always a better way, but I don't know.
Right.
Anyway, so she had her second surgery, and she got real sick, and she was under a lot of pain and stuff. And then she was scheduled for another surgery to do that other part of her neck. And then, so she, had the pain pills or whatever anyway. So she ended up having a reaction to her pain pills and went to sleep and didn't wake up. So
your wife went to bed and didn't wake up.
Yep.
Right. And what happened there? I mean, what did you do? How'd you deal with it?
Oh, I called my friend Larry, called Sweat Hog that night. We went to a meeting. So,
right.
Because I was just crazy.
How long had you been sober when that happened?
Couple years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a couple years, I believe, since 2011.
Right.
So that was in 2013. So, man, it's amazing how fast and short-lived everything ends up being. You think back on years, that wasn't very long to be married.
Right. So you actually were able to stay sober for a little while after that.
Yeah, stayed sober.
And then, so you stayed sober, and this was part of the time frame where you met your current wife.
Yeah.
A little while later on, and stuff like that. And
yeah, because I didn't want another girl or nothing.
Right.
So not that I don't like girls, I just didn't want a relationship.
Right, and kind of knowing how painfully it can go.
Yeah, and it's just I'm good. So we rode motorcycles, and I ended up hanging out, and I met Kenny Holtman Stubby, and actually before that I'd met them. Before that, they were taking meetings up to the treatment place I was in back in 2011. That's when I met Sweat Hog and Stubby.
Yeah,
and so I ended up, and then Stubby offered me a job after my wife died. He asked me if I wanted to learn what he knows, which is working on big trucks.
Right.
So yeah, I said, heck yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah.
So I'm really appreciative of that dude.
Right.
Yeah, he's taught me a lot.
Well, very cool. So you worked there for a while, and then you met your wife.
Yeah, I worked there. Actually, I met Cher while I worked there.
Right.
Yeah, and we ended up hanging out. I remember when I met her, I was taking a meeting I was at Renewal leading a meeting. I don't know if I'm supposed to use AA places or whatever. I don't care. I don't care right now.
Right.
It's my story. Anyway, so we always went to Freddy's after the meeting on Monday nights, and then he happened to invite my wife and another friend over there for ice cream. And I remember we walked in there because we went in there all the time. Me and Sweat Hog always got free ice cream from Freddy's because we knew the manager girl or whatever. And so I remember staring at her. So what do you want? She says, no, I got mine. I said, all right. Whatever. I didn't hardly say two words to her while we sat there. I was mostly talking to the other. And I don't remember though. And then we were on our way back out to the car, and I was walking beside her, and there was a skunk smell in the air. And And I sniffed the air and I said, is that you?
Slick.
Yeah, it wasn't very slick, but it was, and then she burned out in her car, I won't say what she said on the air, but she burned out. And then I was like, well, there I go again, because I remember saying stupid stuff to girls my whole life.
Right.
I don't know. It's just whatever.
John the gangster is not the John the ladies man.
No, it's not. He's totally opposite. It's like, I don't know. I always figure I'm a nice guy trying to be tough, and maybe that's it.
Right.
And that doesn't work because I'm not a tough guy. I'm just a nice guy. Try to be nice anyway.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, she called me, and then so I was like, hey, let's go out to dinner, And we went out. I took her out to which is like a place. I don't know if how many people put stuff on their first date list, but we went to like an all-you-can-eat Chinese restaurant, buffet style. Let's get it,
Right.
So that's where we went. Because I asked her, I said, hey, do you want to go out to eat and then go shoot my slingshot down by the river? And everybody's like, what's a slingshot, a metaphor for something? It's like, no one actually recently bought a slingshot. I'm still like a little kid at heart when it comes to, throwing stars, BB guns and swords and knives and whatever, it's just kind of cool shit to have. Anyway, so she did. And then we talked about stuff. I like to camp. And she said, I like to camp too. I said, well, let's go this Friday. Let's go this weekend. It's summertime. So I borrowed a tent from my boss. And that was kind of funny because they didn't expect me to be with a girl, I guess, because I hadn't met any girls show up for a tent. My wife steps out of the car, it's like, who's that?
Right.
So we ended up going out, hanging out, and so we had a lot of fun though. And we were together ever since. I mean, after that, we just hung out. Like, she was such a badass. It was like one of the first times she rode with me. It was like in October, and we had to do a volunteer thing out of Kingman, and Kingman's not very close to Wichita. I don't know. It's like 30 minutes.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So it's like 15 degrees that morning. It got really cold. And I told her, I said, well, if you're going to ride with me, you put on some snow pants or something or whatever you got, something warm. And she did. She hopped on the back of the bike and we rolled out to Kingman. She didn't complain once. And I'm like, yep, got to keep her.
Right.
If somebody wants to ride with me. And that was really cool. So we were hanging out ever since.
Man, I knew she was a keeper when she took you up on the slingshot thing. That's like the most romantic shit I've ever heard. I love it.
It was really cool. Yeah, I mean, not many girls that you just met want to go down by the river.
Right. Yeah. She says yes to that.
At night.
Matt knows he's got a frog gigging partner.
Yeah. He's like, come on. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
So you guys were together for a while, and I, just because I know a little bit of the story, you chose to go out and use one more time. Tell me about that process, what led to it, and how you came through it, man.
Well, so yeah, I'm working. I've been working the same job for 5 years or so, and it's just I'm doing all these things to stay sober. Like I was leading meetings and trying to work with other people, doing homeless stuff, ministry stuff with the guys. And then I started, it was like a year or so. And it's like all of a sudden I'm starting thinking about using again. Like I'd see and I've been in Wichita forever. And I started finding myself wanting to think about my old haunts, places where I used to go get the drugs and it was just like, and I'm coming home from work and I'm laying on the couch. It's like I'm depressed, and there was some other telltale signs of like, I didn't do the same things I've always done. I didn't have any motivation, just not doing much. And I remember fighting that battle though, just thinking, get off, like Saturday night, we'd be downtown in Wichita doing something and I would roll out. Instead of going to a meeting, I would go to an AA meeting. I would go, just go home. And I did that for a long time. And then it just kind of got an overwhelming thought, and desire to, man, I just want to get high. That's it. And my life is good. It's really, really good. There's nothing going on. And I just an overwhelming feeling. And then it's like, how do I accomplish this? Because I'm like, I just want to do it one time. And so I'm figuring out how to make this lie happen, It's like, oh, well, okay. So that day I just decided, and I had to kind of set up to where I contacted somebody I knew a long time ago and said, hey, do you know? Oh, yeah. So finally I just like, I'm just going to go do it. So I called in sick for work. I said that I called everybody and told everybody, I'm going to go Christmas shopping because it was right around Christmas time. I'm going to go look for Christmas presents. And I just was gone. And by the end of the day, I couldn't find what I wanted. By the end of the day, I did, though.
Right.
So that by that night, everybody was like, had an idea. I had people look, friends looking for me, whatever, shares wondering where I'm at. Everybody's probably worried sick. But once again, like anything else in my life in the past, it's just like whatever I'm going to do, I'm going to go do.
Right.
And without thinking of anybody else. And so I did. And, I was almost sober. I was almost 7 years. That was 6+ years not doing anything.
Right.
So, yeah. So then I was like, once I did that, I was like, I'm going to quit. I am going to do all the things I know I need to do and I found out I couldn't quit.
Right.
And I couldn't stop. I mean, it didn't matter how much willpower or whatever.
What you'd learned, and none of it matters.
No, I've done it all. And it was just like, like somebody who loves chocolate candy bars and fat person in a candy bar store, whatever. No offense to fat people or candy bars. It was just like that, though. It's like, I can't fucking quit. And no matter how much mad I am, it's always been that way, though.
Right.
And so one more time and one night out all night. And I'm like, Jesus, I can't do this anymore. So I left and I called my wife and I said, I don't know what to do. And she's like, you need to go to treatment. And I'm like, I don't know how to do that because I'm not on paper.
Right.
I'm not on parole or probation. How do you get the treatment? So luckily we made it happen. She made it happen. And I went to treatment one more time. And I don't know, should we say the name of probably leave those all anonymous, huh?
The treatment centers and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're public industries.
Yeah. Valley Hope.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a good one. Went to that and I'm still literally crazy. Like even after, you spend the 30 days or 28 days in these places, it's like your brain is still not right. Your thoughts are still not right. Even when I got out, I was like rolling, doing the things, having a sponsor, taking meetings back to treatment. I remember with my friend Dave, we would roll together to treatment, and I'd say, man, I said, shit, I'm still thinking about using. He says, that's not a secret. He says, you're a drug addict and alcoholic. That's what you do. So I said, oh shit, no kidding. I said, I didn't know that. I think I'm supposed to be cured and fixed.
Right.
It's like, no, you're not. So yeah, so you still got to do stuff. But one of the things is that, and I would say the biggest thing for me on that whole process of going back out one more time was I could still do before that I was doing all these things to stay sober. And yeah, I believed in God and whatever. And I'd even pray to God. But I didn't have any kind of a relationship with God. I was just doing these things to stay sober. Go to meetings, they say. Go do this. Yeah, you do all that stuff. But there came a point when all that was gone. And everybody left.
Right.
There was a few people, nobody knew what to do anyway. But my viewpoint during that time period, and it was not true. It wasn't true. Nobody left. I left. But what I saw was everybody left and nobody was left there except for my wife. That was it. She's the only one that didn't leave. And
Right.
it's right there. It's because she didn't want to leave. And neither did anybody else. You know, one of the things that I realized during that process was that what other people saw, the very important thing that I'd never seen before was that in my whole life, it was that about face I did, about face, and I left, and I didn't say where I was going, and I never said bye or that I was coming back. I just left. So I'm sure other people are like, where'd that guy go? You know,
Yeah.
we really liked him.
Yeah.
Where did he go? You know, we relied upon him. Where did he go? So people had to carry on. And some people carry on and like, yeah, I'm good. I don't need to see you again. And other people are like, glad to see you back on your feet. And more other people are still want to be in a relationship, you know, and that's good. But yeah, the one thing is that, you know, they talk about, and anybody that's familiar with AA in the big book, it talks about a higher power, and you got to have a higher power. It's like, yeah, you got to have God in your life. And part of that life of the inner spirit, the discontent, the hole that's there, I got to have that. I got to ask him to do that.
Okay.
Yeah. So, because even after a couple years, I believe, and there's probably another guy that would attest that will remain anonymous, that I'm still crazy. And I was like, man, you're weird, you know, and you don't even realize it. But, you know, think back to some of your thoughts and the way you talk or the way you move
Right.
will attest to that, you know,
Right.
compared to I am now. I was trying to move my hands earlier and it made me think of the movie Talladega Nights.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
I
Yeah.
was like, what do I do with my hands? You know, it's like, made me laugh.
Well, and you know, I think right in there is when I met you.
Yeah.
And, you know, you did talk a little different and, you know, a little discombobulated with stuff but doing good. And, you know, getting to work with you was, out of all the people that have ever, you know, asked me to sponsor them, you're the one I've gone through the steps with. You're the only one that's made it, like, gone all the way through with me.
Yeah.
You know, and just watching you grow has been phenomenal. I got the ultimate honor. I don't know, you know,
Thank you.
why I'm sharing this, because I don't want to ever have a service doing this, but I was honored to perform the ceremony for you and your wife to get married.
Yeah.
You know, that was cool. You know, it was the COVID thing, right?
Yeah, I was right at the COVID.
Because
when
all the old
everything was
judges
shut
you know,
down.
weren't going to get out because of COVID. You know, they didn't want to do any marriages. And I'm sitting on my phone and John's like, man, I don't know. We're trying to get married, you know, about this time. And I'm like Googling, I got him on speakerphone. I'm sitting there Googling. I'm like, well, for $49.95 plus shipping and handling, I can do the deal in 4 to 6 weeks. And he's like, seriously? And he like covers up the phone and asks his fiance, and, you know, okay. And I get there and her mom goes, how many weddings have you done? And I said, well, including this one. Well, yeah, I said, well, this will be number one. But it was great. You know, it suited you guys. You know, it was real simple, real meaningful. You know, not a lot of pomp, just all the meaning.
Yeah.
You know, it was so cool. You know, and then, you know, you bring Brandon around and goes on some rides with us. And yeah, knowing you has definitely been a huge positive for me.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah. So I have one last question before these guys, you know, ask their questions. What are you working on right now? What exact thing are you working on to try to grow yourself?
The exact thing is?
Yeah. Yeah. What's one focus? It could be anything. What are you trying to grow right now?
Well, there's two things.
Okay.
One is my relationship with God.
Right.
Is like just keeping that and growing that stronger. I don't have any idea. The one thing I've learned is that I don't have any idea how this all works. You know, there's been this whole way of growing up in the church and then knowing the things that I've read and hearing the things you hear. And then when you're really alone and you're alone with God,
Right.
that relationship,
Okay.
you know, what that looks like.
Right. That's valuable.
And then the other one is getting back in shape, like being in the shape. I'm in shape, what I need to do for my job and everything. But getting the motivation or having the discipline. It's not even motivation anymore. It's got to be discipline to get to another, not be a slow, fat ass 54-year-old,
Sure.
staying off that level.
Yeah. It's getting back in the gym after, getting back in shape after not doing it for a while. It's almost like being out there in addiction where, it's just feels impossible to break the cycle of not doing it. Put the cake down and go to the gym feels like, like impossible.
Mm-hmm.
It really can.
When I got hit by that car on the motorcycle. What was that, a couple years ago?
Yeah.
Things are still kind of hard in parts of my body.
Right. Still sore.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like one night I was on my way to work and all of a sudden I'm like across the road tracks a couple blocks from my house, and a couple raccoons jump out in front of me in the road. So I immediately slow down and stop. Like, get out of the road. And then a car just creams me from behind, hits me. I'm like, that hurt. And the only thing I don't even know what to compare it to. It just felt like I was watching those guys get, the guys who catch footballs.
Oh, yeah.
Field, and they get creamed. They just get shit knocked out of them. That's the only thing I could say that felt like getting hit by a car, because I didn't get up. It was like, this hurts.
Yeah. Got decaleated off the bike.
It just hurts. Didn't break any bones, but.
Were your saddlebags full?
Well, one exploded because he hit that side, the passenger side mainly.
Yeah. What was it? Was it like full of stuff? Did it confetti all over?
No, maybe. I don't know. I mean, probably. Yeah, it was in pieces. But it was funny because when the guy's like, I'm sorry, he says, but when last time I saw you, you were moving forward. And I'm like, yeah, because he didn't stop. The car didn't stop until he hit me. Like, he didn't apply the brakes until after he hit me. Luckily, it was only like a 35-mile-an-hour zone.
Only.
Yeah. Well, imagine it hit any faster.
Right.
It probably hurt more.
Yeah. Ray Lewis didn't cream people going 35 miles an hour.
Yeah. So it's all good. There's some real blessings out of that. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So what questions do you guys have?
You want to go first?
I don't know if I got any questions.
Man, that was that story made an impact on me. There was a couple parts there where it was bringing emotion out in me, that just things that I don't think about every day, reminding me of the insanity. You know what I mean? Just reminding me how fast my brain will allow me to go back to that place if it's unchecked. Leading up to that last relapse, like when you were thinking about it and you were in that dark place, the days, months, weeks, whatever, leading up to it, when you would go home instead of go to a meeting, were you sharing those thoughts with anybody? Were you picking up the phone and, telling people you were having these thoughts, or were you just keeping it all internal?
I was keeping it all internal. It's, it's like a fear or an embarrassing thing to think that, it's like anything else. It's like, I got this,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a good dad, and yet, my kid's thinking about suicide, whatever that may be. It's like, that's comparable, but it's like I got this, and why don't I got this?
Mm-hmm.
And this too will pass. I'm not using.
Mm-hmm.
But mainly embarrassing and fear of what others might think. Because I was thinking people are going to think less of me, and I still, it's like, I don't like secrets, but, I try to figure shit out. So, because it's not so much embarrassing. It is in a way, though.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little bit of fear of what others might think. Because I always want to do what I say I'm going to do. But sometimes shit gets in the way.
Yeah, like it's almost like our ego or something on some level.
Very, yeah.
I remember whenever I was living in Oklahoma, and I had been started smoking weed again, and Junior calls me, and him and Michelle and the kids are like, "Oh, we're driving up through Arkansas. Text us your address. We're right down the road." And I'm just like full panic. It's like I'm growing weed. It's just like there's. I was full panic, but like I was like high blood pressure, full stress that whole weekend, trying to keep it secret. And then I talked to him, year or two later, and he's like, "Oh, we fucking knew 5 minutes after we got there, dude." Like there was like we smelled it when we pulled down the drive, man. Like there was no, but in my mind, I'm
You're
manipulating.
slick.
Yeah, I think I've got this whole. It's just the insanity, man.
Yeah, this too will pass.
Yeah, dude, it's just my brain is crazy. Yeah, it's tough hearing like you have like this trend of just run, just go, don't say nothing, and it's even from the time you were a kid on. It's man, that just sounds like it just must have been chaos, like, and I relate to the chaos, not that way. I never, but like we get addicted to that chaos, I think too, and it's like that becomes the comfortable place. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. It's not like I don't. It's like even in the time period where I'm sitting there, like, man, why?
Right.
Like, I don't.
Right. Looking back on it, it's always like this regret, but I don't know. It's like I said, man, it's the insanity. We're crazy.
Yeah.
And
I remember sitting in treatment this last time, and I was like talking to a friend of mine. I was like, I was trying to sit here, and I heard other people say, it's like, why did I do it again? Why? And my friend he says, the John I know, he says, wouldn't give a shit about why he did it. What's he going to do next? Because that's the person they knew. It's like, what are you going to do about, what are you going to do next? Give a shit what you did.
Yeah. What are you going to do about it?
Move forward. But it's not that, in your brain.
Man, that was a good stuff, man. I mean, that's a heavy story, but very impactful, and lots of things to learn for me personally. I mean, there was lots of stuff I took out of that, those reminders,
Yeah. Good.
Right. Picking up that £1 million phone and, admitting a little bit of weakness. I mean, those invasive thoughts, stuff like that. You've got to get them out because the secrets keep you sick. I mean, really the only invasive, nasty secret that you should ever keep to yourself is like if you're trying to buy a reverse tricycle or something like that. If you're gonna drive a Spider, go ahead and keep that to yourself. Just
brother.
Yeah, I know. But other than that,
Spider.
Secrets keep you sick. I'm just picking that because of that one conversation when you played that joke. You were gonna buy one.
Yeah, that was good, man.
Dude, that was one of the best ever. Because you kept such a stone face. The guy's looking at me and he's turning purple, and I'm just don't look at me. I'm laughing so hard. I'm about to pee.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're not a motorcycle, by the way.
not even a trike.
They're not a motorcycle.
I don't know if I really have any questions. I guess I'll just share some things, and then maybe that brings up something for you to talk about. When you brought up about, or and he talked about it, but you brought up that it was like kind of eye opening about how much was just like how quick, like just moving on, going to the next thing, that type of thing. I remember after I was alive, when you left, it wasn't like a slow build up until gone. It was at least not in my mind, I'm like, 10, but it was living life. Everything's cool. Couple months, mom and dad are fighting a little bit, and then all of a sudden dad's gone. Like there was no slow build up, gradual, all this kind of stuff. It was just instant. And I do remember all the times of you, like the short sober stints, coming around and all that kind of stuff. I remember, I don't know if you remember this, but before you went to prison for the last long stint in prison, you're on bail or something, whatever, and you were going to court, whatever day. And the day before, we went out and eat and all this kind of stuff. And I remember he's like, "Yeah, I got to go to court tomorrow." But it wasn't like I'm gonna go to court and like, oh, there's a possibility. It's like, no, I'm going, like, I got to tomorrow go to court and then I go to prison for years. It's not that type of thing. But yeah, I don't know. It's just a weird, very strong moment of just that day hanging out together before.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, it ain't no joke, man.
No.
It's all right. I'm just crying.
No, it's
Yeah.
okay.
You know what? Life happens and emotions happen. And that's something I ran from out there was emotion. Working through this kind of shit. It's not comfortable and it's not pleasant, but getting worked through is.
Yeah.
It's a goal. It's a goal to have. Glad you guys are doing it.
One of the things, I can remember even today, it's like I have regrets for that instant like that right there, but it's like, I remember there was a lot of hurt during the time when I was on drugs that, the drugs didn't necessarily take away, but they would definitely move to oblivion, and so, it was like I was, I just like couldn't go backwards, I couldn't take back anything that I've ever done. So it was, it's definitely, it's not that I don't care, or I never wanted to not. I didn't want people to think that I don't care, because I do. I regret, and I feel. What grandmother told me before she passed was, one wish that, which I didn't quite live up to the wishes because she passed before my last use, but she was like, yeah, just hope you stay sober. That would be my one wish. Not that you come around or that. She just knew that if I was sober, at least my life would be better. So, yeah, I'm blessed today to have any kind of a relationship with that young man right there. So
It is awesome to be part of it from where I'm sitting,
yeah.
seeing you guys getting out there on the road together. And
The longer that we do have a relationship, there's more going to be, the onion's going to be peeled, I think, and the memories and
oh yeah,
stuff. I think it's just, it's an important thing. And I was reminded this, as somebody else said, it's like, man, even if you can't fix it today, you don't know. I don't know the future, but, I'll be here. I'll be here maybe if somebody's interested, like Brandon is his brother and sister or whatever, or anybody I've hurt, crushed, whatever, left, it's like, I'm here, and I don't know. It's like I almost feel like I want to go fix it all, fix the relationships, make it all like this. But I've learned that that's not exactly how it works, but it's still, you have to, I think I have to try, but I don't know.
Yeah. I think the line is, where do you think the benefit lies for the other person? Because
Yeah.
you don't get to fix your conscience at their expense.
Exactly.
We talked about that one of the last recordings when I had to kind of let it alone. I don't get to drag it up one more time to make them relive it one more time to make me feel good.
Yeah. A lot of people don't want me to darken their doorstep. You know, I ran into people at friends' funerals. You know, I seen the look on their faces when they saw me, and I'm like, wow, okay. I don't remember what I did, but I
Right.
must have done something. So, how do you know, because you can really hurt people and not even realize it.
Sure. Yeah. I think the answers go back to the relationship you were looking for, you know, personal relationship with God. You get the answers that way.
Mm-hmm.
Things tend to work out the way they're supposed to.
Yeah, they do. You know, it was like I was after I got hit by that car, and I'm laying in a pool trying to recover. I'm at in the swimming pool. Just I had to exercise a lot in the pool because there wasn't any other way in the beginning. And then so I'm laying there and I'm putting my ears in the water. I'm just meditating a little bit, praying, and it was like, man, what's all this about? You know, it's like, well, and then it was just a thought. You know, it's like, well, I made all this. You know, God said, I made all this,
Right.
all of it. Every person, everything. And it's not so much for you, but man, you get to enjoy it, you know, live in it. But it was just really amazing, humbling experience for me to realize that, yeah, it's all there.
Right.
Yeah, it's not about it. It was anything else at that moment. So.
That's cool. Well, I think we've had a meaningful conversation today.
Yeah, thank you guys for sticking around and like, share, and subscribe. See you guys next time.